Do we start immediately, or do we wait for a few people to get on?
We just kind of jibber jabber for a
Okay.
second.
All right.
All right. All right. We are live both places.
All right, everybody. I hope there's folks here. I hope there's folks there, and I hope y'all can hear me. So, it is 7 o'clock ish.
Ish.
Always. We run
It
on the
is
ish around
Thursday
here.
night. So that means it's time for Thursday Night Live at the gun shop. And tonight it's gonna be a little different. We're gonna do things a little different. This is the first time we tried this. Um, WHMC gets involved in a lot of community events. Normally we do it kind of quietly. Um, a check here, some donations there, whatever. Um, but one of the things that we feel really big about is being members of the community, being good members of the community, and doing things to support our community. And I'm talking about primarily right now Gibson County. For tonight, we're talking about Gibson County.
Yes, sir.
So I was at I don't know what, 2 months ago.
Give or take. Two,
Something
two months ish.
2 months ish, yeah. Time runs together, guys. Time really runs together. Um, and we had 3 candidates at the time that were at that event that were vying for the job of sheriff of Gibson County.
Yes, sir.
And I think that night there was, of course, you and Rodney and Will, who's no longer in.
Yes, sir.
I think that's who,
Chad.
Chad Lowry. Yes,
Chad.
sir.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. That's who was there.
You know Will.
And
Will Lowry.
I don't.
Well, hell, they look just alike, and if they're sitting in front of me, I get them confused.
And Brian Cook was there earlier in that night.
Okay,
but
because
he
I
had to leave
didn't get
with
there till
that.
about 6:30.
Sure. Yes.
So anyway, they had each one up and give their spiel, and afterwards we were sitting with I was sitting with some friends of mine, and Cody come by the table, and I never met the man before in my life. I told him, so I'm going to ask you a question, if you don't mind. And that ain't a smart ass question, but it's a hard question.
And I pulled up a chair, and the rest was history that night.
Somewhere around an hour later, I don't think either one of us realized it. We had everybody in the place wrapped around, listening to the discussion that come up, and we had several people, friends of mine and others, that were like, man, y'all need to do this online. Y'all need to do this where lots of people can benefit from it. So I said, okay, but I just met this guy. I don't know if I'm gonna vote for him or not.
It's kind of like the old adage. We were entrenched in the conversation, talking man to man, and once the silence was broke, somebody spoke besides us. We looked around like, oh wow. But when you meet somebody new, we talk man to man, getting the read off each other.
So yeah, and great. I'll be glad. I love to do it, but if I'm gonna do it, I gotta do it with everybody.
Sure.
So right now we're only gonna concentrate on 2 people. We're gonna concentrate on Cody, and we're gonna concentrate on Rodney.
That's right.
Because in the primary that's coming up in May, that's the only 2 names on the ballot right now. They're running for the Republican nomination
That's correct.
to run for sheriff.
There's no Democrat running in the primary, so it's just 2 Republican candidates, May 5th.
So that's what we're going to concentrate on until after May 5th, and then we'll, of course, make invitations to
Sure. The 2 independent candidates.
for this to go on. Would it be you or Rodney, or
Sure.
and then
Megan Shanklin
Nicole
and
and-
Brian Cook. That's the two independent candidates.
They'll have the same opportunity.
Sure. Absolutely fair.
But I promised Cody and Rodney both one thing. I won't give them got you questions, but I won't accept bullshit answers.
Absolutely. And that's one reason why we were so entrenched with each other that night. I feel like our meters were running, see if we detected any of that with each other. And I think we had a pretty good conversation, and that's how this all began.
So, part of what we try to do, help do things for the community, help the community, get information out. There's lots of different ways. And this is one of those things we want to do. Now, for everybody's like, man, I'm going to miss my cool gun fix on Thursday night. No, you're not. When we finish this,
After you say bye-bye to YouTube.
yeah, we'll have to, you guys on YouTube, I'm sorry, but we'll have to cut that for the cool, we'll have to cut you off for the cool gun
Yep.
section.
No
And post-
violations tonight.
And
No.
post it later. We
Hey,
can't do it live.
We had 22 viewers over here just a minute ago.
But I am going to bring you a super cool. For y'all staying with us through this, listen to what the man has to say. I am going to bring you a super cool gun of the night.
Super.
One we have not had on before. And I could tell you it's over 170 years old, and we will be shooting this gun soon.
Oh, I know what gun it is now.
That's awesome.
So there's something to hold on for. But it's Cody Childress, currently with Gibson County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, sir.
And
absolutely.
I'm going to turn it over there to him to introduce himself and tell you what he wants to about himself. And then we'll get into the purpose and what we're doing tonight and start asking questions.
Sure. I'm Cody Childress. I'm currently employed at the Gibson County Sheriff's Office. I've been there over 29 years. I actually started out in corrections there 2 days after my 18th birthday. That was an experience. Went from study hall to dealing with murderers and rapists and everything in between, but had to grow up fast, finished growing up fast. But I become a deputy a couple of years after that, rose through the ranks, and I'm currently the patrol captain at the sheriff's office. Now, I put a little emphasis on my start because I'm the only candidate that has corrections experience. And Tom and I have talked about this. What people don't realize is the jail is such a huge part for the sheriff's office and such a huge undertaking for the sheriff to handle. It's by far the biggest budget line item. In fact, it has its own budget separate from the rest of the sheriff's office. I decided to run Republican because that's where my ideals align. Now, I will be a sheriff for all people. However, I didn't want to hide the fact that I am a Republican from anybody looking deceitful, because I want people to know who I am. I believe we have enough elected officials that we put in office that we thought we knew who they were.
We'll call those rhinos.
100%.
No, actually,
We'll call them that while we're live.
look, we actually have a
We've
better
called
term.
them
We have a
other-
better term. It's not politically correct, so you can disavow this. Trans Republicans.
He said that. He said that, not me.
Tom said it.
Full disclosure, Tom,
Look.
not Cody.
I got it from John Rich and Richard Archie.
Makes sense.
It does now. Yeah,
I got it from John Rich and Richard Archie.
absolutely.
So it's not an original, although I love it.
Sure, it's repurposed. Got any questions for me?
Well, yes, sir, we're gonna get there.
All right.
Well, just so you know, John Miller said hi, and so did Christy and Jason Harrison.
Hey guys, Christy,
Hey,
Jason.
I know you.
Hey guys, listen up real quick. I gotta throw this in there. Tomorrow night, City Limits, Jason and Christy celebrating 7 years
All right.
at that location.
Wow. has it
Steph
been
and
that
I
long?
will be there. And I tell you what, if you come in and see me and say, hey man, I watched your show last night with Cody, I'll buy you first beer.
And I can attest to this. He's been warming his vocals up. So karaoke, it's on.
That's on Saturday.
That's Saturday.
No sneak preview tomorrow night. Sorry, guys. I
That's
tried.
Saturday
tried.
night.
I
But
tried.
Jason and Kristen, they're going to be throwing a big celebration for their 7th tomorrow. Come out and support them, guys. They're great people. People don't realize how much those folks do for the community.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Because they do it quietly. They do it behind the scenes. At City Limits tomorrow night, we'll be there. Come by and see me. Say you saw us tonight. I'll buy you first round.
All right.
Now, for the purpose of our discussions tonight, yes, I wrote notes
Nothing wrong.
so I don't
No.
end up running down a damn rabbit hole like a beagle.
And he would.
He's mentioned he's prone to do that.
He squirrels.
Shiny.
Yeah.
The purpose of our discussion tonight is we're going to ask questions that I really feel like a lot of voters want to hear the answer to these questions, but a lot of people aren't willing to ask. They feel like they're going to offend somebody. They feel like they're going to hurt somebody's feelings, whatever. Well, I'm not going to ask them in an offensive way. I'm not going to ask them in a way to hurt somebody's feelings. If they get their feelings hurt, they shouldn't have gotten in the politics game. But I'm going to ask them in a fair manner. Full disclosure, everybody that comes on the show with me gets to see my notepad before we come on air.
That's a fact.
So we know what to expect. We're going to have a civil discussion, even if we disagree. Cody will not interrupt me while I'm asking questions, and I will not interrupt him while he's giving his answers.
I think we were both pleasantly surprised with that. Our first
We
conversation
didn't have to have that.
night.
No.
Yeah, I
It
mean
was
that's what's called a discussion and communication, not an argument.
That's what adults do.
You guys, the comment section is open. Stephanie's going to be monitoring it. We're live on both Facebook and YouTube right now. So, call your friends, call your neighbors, call your mommy, your daddy, all your peoples. Tell them to log on. We're fixing to get into this. I'll run through this little list right quick, then we're going to go back and start picking out individual stuff. All right, the topics we're going to look at tonight, we're going to look at individual character, we're going to look at constitutional positions, we're going to look at the individual's vision for the office, reforms to current policies, what ideas the candidates bring in on how we can get crime numbers down, and I'm going to ask them for real ideas. If they start handing me politics, I'm going to call bullshit. We're going to talk about the biggest challenge right now to getting results in the justice system. And then we're going to talk about accountability, both within and without. And I think if we cover those areas of things well, you're going to know where each candidate actually is at.
Sure.
So starting off, of course, I have to do my homework, and and I know there's people out there that love me. There's people out there that would love to kill me,
Absolutely.
and you got the same.
I have the very same. Absolutely.
I've talked to different people. I got people that will go to the wall for you, and I got people that love to put you on the wall.
100%. Same here.
So there ain't nobody breathing. I don't think's got that. So we can't judge by that.
Yes, sir.
So how would you say? How would one you describe your individual character, and two, how can the people of Gibson County hold you accountable to that self-description?
I would say, and this is kind of cliche, I'm firm but fair. I always took to heart, even early in my career, protect and serve. And you can watch an officer within the first couple years of their career. You know if they're there to do good, to try to make a difference, or if they're there for a badge and gun and to have the authority over people. And I'll say it like this: I've seen officers and deputies that are like that. There's some bad apples. I can't say that there's not, but I've always tried to hold myself to the protect and serve and help people when I can. And when there is a cause for someone to go to jail, no matter who they were, take them to jail. That's what I've tried to live by. I've run into people I've had encounters with at Walmart. My kids were growing up, and they say, "Daddy, is that a friend of yours?" I said, "Well, I know them." You know them from working at the sheriff's department? Yeah. They're your friend? And well, I dealt with them, but they come up to you. I said, "Well, I was always fair." Even in physical altercations, once it was over, it was over. And some people on the other side, it squashed. And, that was that. You can't, it's hard not to take some stuff personal, but you can't in this line of work.
Right.
And as far as being held accountable, of course, every 4 years, but that's a long time gap. If I'm elected, you hold me accountable when I go for re-election and you vote me out. But till then, call me out on it. Hey, you said you were this way. This is not what I'm seeing. And if an elected official can't take constructive criticism, then there is something wrong.
It better not be in politics.
There's several that shouldn't be.
Oh,
There's a rabbit hole. Let's not
there's
go
a
down.
rabbit. I'll just say this: there's a hell of a lot more in that category than in the other one.
Absolutely.
Now, it's still talking about individual character, in a way. As sheriff, you're going to run into a lot of, if you're elected.
Sure.
Okay. And I guess we'll kind of assume that's where we're going with this.
Right.
If you're elected sheriff, you're going to run into a lot of bad opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to run into opportunities, or that's not really the right word.
Right.
Temptations.
Yes. Scenarios that will have bad outcomes.
And there's going to be times where there's 99% chance nobody will ever know.
Sure. But I would.
What is it that's going to keep you from going just this once?
Just once would turn into just 10, and that just once opens up a door. And if you done it and didn't know better, hey, learn from it. But if you did it and you did know better, then you have no reason to be in office, in my opinion. If you knowingly did wrong, and if it's something so egregious you should have known, then the same thing applies. Ignorance is not a saving grace.
Now, one of the things that we've talked about, there's a lot of constitutional issues, both state and federal.
A lot of stuff going on, a lot of things pending right
And it's not just in, for example, my industry, the firearms industry.
Sure.
We've got a lot of things coming here, but we've got a bill going to build these desks right now that, what I can read on it, it's one of the most egregious bills I've ever seen that takes away our right to regress once a bill is passed to General Assembly and signed into law.
Sure.
It's that law's wrong. I'm going to challenge it. No, not any. If Bill Lee signs this, not anymore. Not in the state of Tennessee.
Which, in and of itself, I consider unconstitutional.
It is unconstitutional because the Constitution, both the state and the federal, of course, gives us the right to regress to both the courts and the elected assemblies.
Absolutely.
But we got a constitutional position right now with the case born here in Gibson County with Hughes versus Lee.
Hughes versus Lee, absolutely.
That says Tennessee's, and I don't even know. I mean, I've read this law. I don't know how many times.
Mm-hmm.
On the Parks and Greenways part.
Sure.
and it had to be written by a drunk monkey.
Sure.
Have you ever actually just sat down
And
and
the
read the
other
entire
part,
text of it?
Yes, sir. The intent to go armed.
Well, that's a totally
Sure, that it is. I'm sorry.
And
I'm
we're
trying
go-
to take him down a different rabbit
Oh,
hole.
well,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. But if you've got this permit, you can carry there. If you got that permit, you can. If you got
Sure.
that one, maybe, maybe not. We're not sure.
How about
What the hell?
How about cut through all that red tape? Hey, you've got the Second Amendment right. Utilize it.
You know, because Bill Lee said, I'm going to sign constitutional carry. I signed, no, he signed permitless carry with a lot of limitations.
Yes.
That's very confusing.
Yes.
Both, not only for the civilian public, but it would be a nightmare to enforce.
Absolutely. It's like you.
I mean, you have
all
to-
right, let's go through this checklist. Well, down here. No. Well, over here.
I mean, it's,
Sure.
so, one, and we've had 3-judge panel strike it down as unconstitutional. We had one court deny their stay, one court gave them a stay, another court knocked their stay down. Now the Supreme Court has put in a ruling that directly affects it that says, hey, guess what? You're in violation of your state and federal constitutions. And they're still up there arguing about it.
That has basically been ignored.
And what's going to happen in this is more of these things come up, Hughes versus the intent to go on. We're going to hit that. That law was passed in 1871. It was a Jim Crow law to keep freed blacks in their place.
Yes.
It's exactly what it was. I mean, the Democratic Party of the state of Tennessee passed it. This is all fact. Just go look it up.
Sure. It's there.
And it was to keep freed blacks in their place where you couldn't even be on your own property with a firearm or a stick. And it talks about a stick in the law with the intent to go on.
That's right.
So now, I've been around law enforcement a long time, and I know why a lot of cops don't want to get rid of it. Because it's a nice little catch-all when they need something.
Sure.
It's a nice little catch-all charge that they really don't have to prove because they can't prove it.
I agree.
You know, how do you
yes.
prove unless somebody's written down their intent?
Right. Right
No,
down
not
in,
talking
their
about just-
in their diary, I intend to go armed today. I'm
You know,
going to arm myself.
and I'm talking about the guy that's standing there holding a stick. I'm not talking
Sure.
about somebody's committed a violent crime.
No,
no.
we're not talking
no.
about that.
We're talking about some guy that's standing there holding a stick.
Stick, club,
You know, he's got a tire checker laying in the car with him
sure.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, you know, I understand because I know a lot of guys that like that little law because they use it to charge a lot of people with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And it's bullshit. So what's going to happen with a lot of these laws that's being challenged is you're going to have places like PBA, Police Benevolent Association, which does some good things for people in law enforcement.
Yes.
Some of the benefits they've offered to these guys and everything are good things, but overall they're a very socialist organization politically. Tennessee Sheriff Association,
TSA for
which
short.
is
Yep.
definitely not conservative, not in its current view.
And I will interject this. No matter what happens, there will be over 40 new sheriffs statewide in the state of Tennessee after this election because there's over 40 incumbents that are not rerunning.
That's
And
a lot.
there's only 95, and there's going to be over 40 that, I mean, you're looking borderline half turnover of sheriffs in the
Goodness.
state of Tennessee.
So that could mean good things for TSA, or TSA.
Could mean we could move it in the right direction.
But again, you know, if you're sitting there as sheriff and your constituents within these organizations are coming out with these unconstitutional positions, are you going to be the guy that sits back and goes, well, no, I don't agree? Or are you going to be the guy that tries to take a leadership position and bring it back to not a right-leaning, not a left-leaning?
Sure. A
A
constitutional
constitutional
sure.
position.
Absolutely. I would be a voice for that. You
You know-
I care more about the safety and what's right for my constituents in Gibson County than I do keeping Nashville happy. I will say that.
Because right or left is irrelevant. The Constitution and the principles it's given us and the laws it's given us is what makes the state.
Absolutely.
The people of the state are the Constitution. If you read the Tennessee Constitution, it's
Yes.
so well written. It's just, if you talk to constitutional scholars, the Tennessee Constitution is considered one of the top four founding documents ever written.
I did not realize that.
If you talk to constitutional attorneys and scholars, that's the regard they hold the
Sure.
Tennessee Constitution and its construction in.
Right.
So, we get a lot of people that will agree with, oh man, I won't support that, but what they're gonna do is go in their office and be quiet.
Sure.
What I wanna know is
Supporting
is
it
somebody gonna actually,
not supporting it by silence instead of not supporting it and have a voice of action to go in a different direction, a
constitutional direction.
Absolutely.
Not right, not left, not Democrat, not Republican.
Sure. Absolutely.
Constitutional.
Yes, sir.
Because that's, the Sheriff's Department of Gibson County has a bad reputation in a lot of ways, or a bad black eye because
Yes,
of, we know the history.
Sure.
No,
Yes,
no, we don't need to rehash it. So, one of the things I want to see, and this leads right into the next thing I want to talk about. What is your vision for the office of sheriff? What do you want to see change from what's been going on, say, for the last 29 years?
Sure. As a whole, I want to get back to, I mentioned it before, to protect and serve, and my fiance is going to get on to me for this, protect and serve instead of sass and harass. I knew he'd like it.
I love that.
I mean, that's the bare bones of it, and get the respect back of the people and talk to the citizens and not at them. That's the heart of what I see. And I know it'll take time to earn their respect and trust, but like I said the other night at the forum, and I got a little mud slung on me afterward, and that's fine, but as sheriff, I won't be anybody's puppet or in anybody's pocket. What's right's right, no matter who you are.
So your vision for the office would be see it reformed into a people's office.
Yes, sir. It is the people's office.
I mean, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yes, absolutely.
Constitutionally, that's what it is.
Absolutely.
So what reforms would you make with current policy to
Specific.
help get there? Specific.
Sure. Specific, which he did let me look earlier. You've got body cams written down there. I might tweak it a little, but it's pretty sound. We're relatively new to that, and I'm glad we got it going on about 2 years ago. But hey, proof's in the pudding there. Either side, it can prove a case or it cannot prove it, and it can prove misconduct or criminality on either side.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But, I've always been wishy-washy on body cameras. Like any of the people that come up in older style law enforcement were,
Sure.
there's some things that happen
Absolutely.
people don't need to know about. We can't old-time police no more.
That's right.
But more and more I get thinking body cams and dash cams are a good thing.
Yes.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with some of the new breed of people coming into law enforcement. It used to be most everybody that come into being a policeman had been in the service. A lot of them had been to war, Vietnam, for example, or World War II, or
Sure.
Korea, coming through there. Had some type of service background
Absolutely.
and those type things. Now we're getting 18-year-olds or 21-year-olds that have never done nothing but play a video game.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
And I see so many of them, they honestly, and this is that whole generation, but if you're going into police work, is especially bad. They don't know how to communicate.
Sure. And I'll go back where I started my career as an 18-year-old. You communication makes or breaks you in the corrections world. You either sink or swim really quick.
Um, now I've done a little asking around, asking some questions, and I'll tell you when I talked to Rod D on the phone the other day, I asked him about the numbers he was that he was shooting off,
Yes.
and he told me it come from the Tibers reports. I'm like, okay. So why in the state reporting system do we have such a disparity?
Right.
I got digging into that. And at this point, I don't believe we have as big a disparity as that shows.
Right.
But I think it is also incumbent upon our sheriff's department to fix it, and it's your reporting system.
Sure. Absolutely. It needs to
From
be.
the way I understand it, once a report's entered, nobody but one investigator can edit it.
It's limited on who can edit it. Yes.
Where they can.
Once it's finalized. Now, if there's corrections, they'll be made known, or you can make amendments before it's finalized. But once it hits that point, it's a very small portion of people.
And understand that the other county that was involved has a little more easier way to amend reports, updates, and that kind of, which I can see being a discrepancy.
Sure.
I can see that causing a discrepancy because that's going to allow you to show more closed cases.
Sure. But it needs to coincide as well as it can, because we can see when we're misled with statistics, and you can go back.
That's why I wanted
the DUI debacle that come up a little while back. Well, there wasn't any traces of alcohol or drugs to amount to anything, and a lot more of them was reported, and they finally had to admit, well, it was an error. That was a big one.
that was not an error.
I agree. I will agree. That was egregious.
That was, you get out and make arrest.
Sure. Quota.
Yeah.
Quota. I mean, they produced emails that showed that.
We're not going to get into some of the people that are in positions there and what I think of them.
No rabbit holes tonight.
Nope, not tonight.
But, I think reporting policies and the way the reports are handled may be why those numbers sounded so bad where they're actually not that bad.
Right.
I think it's. But the other thing I see is the reforms I'd like to see inside the sheriff's department, as far as reporting, is cases getting closed faster once they're done. And I'm not saying rushing investigations.
Sure.
But
not closing them at the expense of an investigation.
Right. But okay, it's done. We got this. It's turned over to whoever's going to prosecute it. It's in there. That's closed. Set it aside, and then get that in the system.
Sure.
Because one of the worst, we see this, what we do, when we call a background check in, one of the worst counties for there to be an open source on, like an open number, is Gibson.
Really?
I can get an answer. You can get an answer from Nashville in 72 hours. You can't get an answer from Gibson County in 15 days.
Wow.
They go unanswered.
That will be something that's looked at and corrected.
And part of that's going to be at the sheriff's department.
Sure.
Part of that's going to be in the court clerk's office.
100%.
It's not 100% on either one.
Right. It's going to have to take a combined effort. Hey, let's get this fixed.
But that's that blew my mind.
Sure.
You submit it in writing to Davidson County of all places.
Within 72 hours.
but we can't get, you never get an answer back from Gibson County. They just don't answer.
Wow.
And that's why people ask me, say, you know, what about conditional proceeds? Well, you know what? We're going to turn the gun loose on a conditional proceed here. That's our thing.
Sure.
Because it's not my job to take that person's rights away from them. And when I get a conditional proceed, it means the state did not do its part on either prosecuting this person, closing the case. There's 10,000 reasons this could be a conditional proceed, and every one of them is a failure of the state.
Right.
Don't ask me
To halt the
as a
sale
citizen.
due to your mistake.
Don't ask me as one citizen to take another citizen's rights away
Right.
when you're admitting by this you don't have grounds to.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if we want to see background checks work the way they're supposed to work, then that has to be.
I agree.
So, you know, and, you know, other reforms to current policies, you know those better than I do, but I think body cams, dash cams, that thing would go a way towards building trust.
Sure. Absolutely. And for years, we were kind of behind on technology for years. We didn't have them, but for so long, I'll probably take some hits for this, but it's the truth. The DA's office didn't want us to have them. Now, I don't think that was for any specific misleading purpose. It was just their stance, hey, we'd rather not have them. And finally, it was just a line drawn in the sand.
There's no way to avoid
We got
it.
them I'd say about 2 years ago. Maybe not quite 2 years.
If you want to get in a rabbit hole, we'll talk about our current DA.
Don't go down that rabbit hole, please.
She said we couldn't.
You can
see
save
leave
that
them.
for another show. I'm not saying I totally agree with
Um,
Tom on this one.
So now, ideas. What are your personal ideas on how we drop crime numbers for real? Not political, not by reassessing how we report it, not by
Sure.
shuffling numbers.
Sure,
How do
not-
we really impact criminal behavior at Gibson County?
Legitimately and not just on paper.
Right.
How about we hold offenders accountable and give them jail time that they have to serve instead of focusing so much on probation? Now, probation is great for nonviolent offenses. Somebody needs a second chance. Hey, some people take them, they turn their life around. But to give a violent offender a very short or suspended sentence, in my mind, is egregious. We hold them accountable. They're in jail. They're not out committing new offenses for the duration of their jail sentence.
Well, I'd probably go a little further than that because a lot of people want to draw say violent and nonviolent. Okay, yes, there's violent and nonviolent, but there are some nonviolent crimes that are so horrendous
Oh,
with the impacts that they have
sure. Oh, that it doesn't
And
have
the
to be
amount-
violent to destroy lives.
and the amount of evil that they produce
Absolutely.
and lives that they ruin. That
Some people are smart enough they're able to do it in non-violent ways.
a scam, you know,
Absolutely. We've taken so many reports with people, and some of them older, worked all their lives, and they've lost everything, their entire life savings.
see, to me, that may not have been violence involved, but that person needs to be away from society.
Sure. Before they can do it,
That's
somebody else.
not a probation. That's not a.
It's not a slap on the wrist.
It's these. Put them in the box and lock it.
They willfully, with intent, ruin someone's life.
Now you said something. That's going to flow right into this, and we're just going to handle these two together. Ideas on dropping crime numbers for real, not just.
Sure.
And what's the biggest challenge to getting those results in our criminal justice system?
He's got me, y'all, but I'm going to answer it. I'm probably going to get mud thrown on me. I would say, now, don't get me wrong, we've got some good prosecutors, but I would say our DA's office. I'm not going to hide. I answered your question. That's what I believe, and that's what several agencies. I'm not mentioning any. I'm not mentioning anybody's name because hey, I'm running for sheriff. Mud's being thrown on me. They can add some to it if they want, but I'm not going to mention anybody else and get mud on them as well. But more than just I have that sentiment.
Tom's thinking. That's Tom's thinking face. It's like, how do I say this?
I think the vast majority, and I really feel this, I think the vast majority feel the way you do.
From what I've heard, and I've heard a lot, you are correct, sir.
Um,
When an agency, not just us, but a police department or THP or TBI, whoever, you put a lot of effort into a case for it just to be resolved, and a lot of times you don't even know it. And it's action in the end that, the prosecuting agency didn't agree with, the victim didn't agree with.
and we have a DA that if he can get a headline or he get ahead with his political group, which is damn sure not a conservative group and damn sure not a constitutional group, he's all good with.
Yes, sir.
That's what the actions show.
Yes, sir.
That's what
And
the actions show.
This is your opinion.
Yeah.
Both of you, this is your opinion. It's not in any way to reflect on WHMC guns.
We're going to
Yes.
get you a law degree.
Thank you.
Hey, she's great.
But and I'm just looking at actions versus consequences. And
100%.
it's pretty evident. But because we can arrest people, which
Yes.
I assume the sheriff's department arrests people on a regular basis.
Yes, we can arrest, and we do arrest, but in the end, it's not up to us what sentence is offered or if it goes to trial or anything in the middle. We do our part, but the other side has to do theirs.
In your opinion, and this is an opinion, and if you don't want to answer this one, it's not on here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to answer this one, feel free to abstain.
It's going to be a doozy.
In your opinion, what can be done?
What?
Public pressure?
Yes, and I mean, look at the newspaper. That doesn't seem to be working. Any given week, you can pick up the newspaper and read the front page. Of course, any elected official, you can hold them accountable come election time. Now, DA is an 8-year term. We've talked about that before. It doesn't come up to 2030.
But what do we do right now to help make our streets safer besides catch and release?
Be hard to do without the DA on board.
You know,
Other recourses other than election time. Ouster hearing. Now that takes
Well,
some time and effort, and in it of itself is not something that's fast paced.
and
But further public outcry that might help.
we
Wait,
getting any
it-
questions, comments, or anything over there?
Well, Jordan Nichols says, "Chat, we're cooked." That
You can disagree in silence, but that does no good.
that's right.
You have to voice your opinion, and if enough, that could make the difference here.
That's it? We're not getting anything?
People are listening.
Hey, they were the first night we were together. We
People
didn't
are-
realize it till
No.
we broke our gaze at each other.
Now on this goes back. If you're elected sheriff,
Sure.
you make your reform, we'll start making reforms. What's the accountability structure within the sheriff's department going to look like?
From top to bottom, everybody will be held accountable. No matter if you're in corrections, patrol, admin, civilian staff.
Now we'll throw this back.
And I think there will be no good old boy system. It is what I'm saying.
Okay. So, you've been there 29 years.
Yes, sir. 29 years and change.
Okay. And you worked through each.
The last three sheriffs. Yes.
Yeah. And we know for a fact there has been the good old boy system. There's been, I don't want to say corruption because I don't for a minute believe Paul was corrupt. But I believe, he made mistakes, he made whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
I wasn't there.
Yes, sir.
But I don't feel like corrupt would be the right word for him.
You are correct. And I'm not just saying that.
But people have been indicted or in jail
Yes, sir.
or whatever. We all kind of know it's still small county, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
And you've been in there for 29 years.
Yes, sir.
This goes back to the original question, first time I ever asked you. Why should we expect it to be different?
No matter what was going on around me, hey, this person messed up, that person messed up. Well, I wasn't messing up. Yeah, it might have been a little hard to work there at times, but I wasn't about to leave. I hadn't done anything wrong. I took an oath to serve the citizens of Gibson County, and I stayed. I had other offers to go other places, more money, fancy titles, but I stayed because I believed in the sheriff's office. There are good people there. It's a good sheriff's office. Have we got some redemption to seek with some people? With the people? Absolutely. And I feel like I'm up to the task of that. I didn't run when times got hard.
Eric Ferguson said transparency and accountability.
Oh, 100%. That's with any office. And getting back with people when they call, nothing makes anybody matter. Nothing makes me matter, and I feel like you're the same way. The feeling of being ignored. That's a big
I've gotten used to it.
Still don't like it.
I may not like. I gotten used to it. I mean, I don't. But now it's like, okay, well, that's how you feel about it. I can keep going, but
Sure.
no, it pisses me off more from a public official.
100%. Hey, you didn't want to get back with your constituents. Why are you in that office?
Right.
And it doesn't take long to see why people want the office, good, bad, or indifferent.
We have, and I think some people may disagree with it, but I think we have as close as we're going to see to the true concept of a statesman, which is what our founding fathers were more
Sure.
than anything.
Absolutely.
I think we have a couple of examples of that we can look at here. Maybe not to the extent of our founding fathers, but at least still people that you see it in, and like Chris Todd.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Or
representative from neighboring county here.
Rusty Grills.
Rusty, Dyer County. Yes, sir.
And I think they're the kind of people that, even though neither one of them are our representative, I think they're the kind of people you could work with in Nashville if you need
Yes, sir.
to get things done.
And working in Nashville, I would be doing it for my constituents.
Right, for the good of Gibson County.
For the good of Gibson County, not for the good of me. Hey, after sheriff, I'm not interested in that. I've got almost 30 years in. I'd like to be sheriff and cap that off.
Do what my buddy did.
What'd he do?
He started out when he was just about the same age you did down in Tipton County.
I got you.
And he went to work, and he worked till he got to be sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
When he ran for sheriff, he was the only man in the history of Tipton County that ran unopposed.
Wow.
After he was elected the first time.
Right.
when the previous sheriff said, "Hey, I'm done. I'm retiring."
When so the incumbent was not running, he ran unopposed.
No, that one time he
Okay.
ran, there were other people that died for the seat.
Right, but on his
After he was elected
I
sheriff,
gotcha.
when he ran for re-election,
there was
unopposed, and he was never opposed.
that had to be a testament to his first term.
And you know
obviously.
him. I know you know him.
Big guy like myself.
JT Poncho Chumley.
Chumley, absolutely. Absolutely, and he is a big guy.
He is a big guy. Yes, ma'am.
Larry Morris. He said one Gibson County constable receives papers to serve, but none of the other constables receive papers. Will this continue if you get elected?
It will be on a case-by-case basis. I can't say that I will give all of them papers to serve. It will be looked at, and the one that he's talking about that gets them, he worked for the sheriff's department prior in corrections, and Sheriff Thomas felt comfortable in giving him papers. Now, I'm out of the conversation between the sheriff and the constables thus far, so I can't comment on that inner workings.
I'm glad.
But I'm not sitting here, I'm not going to promise, I believe there's maybe 32 constable positions. I'm not going to sit here, there's a lot.
In Gibson County?
Yes, there's several. I might be wrong on that. There are several. I'm not going to sit here, well, I can get their votes right here. I'm gonna give all y'all papers. I can't say that. I'm not going to say that.
We got 32 constable positions.
There's
in Gibson.
several, and he may comment and correct me on how many there are. There's several.
Kimberly Campbell Hipp says, would love for you to talk to Dyer County candidates. They need to have a real talk like this. Thanks, great talk.
I'll be glad to if they want to come sit down with me.
And he and I talked about this first night. It's hard to find someone to talk like this. Some people absolutely not, but it was refreshing when we finally got to meet, sit down, and talk. Like I said, the room disappeared for he and I for the better part of an hour.
Yep.
I think for everybody else, because when we looked up,
Everybody was paying attention.
But so many people, I promise for votes. I'm not going to say I'm going to do something knowing I either won't do it or I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm not going to promise things for votes.
if you don't want to go off in this one, that's fine.
He's got another one.
No, I mean,
Yep.
literally, it just, when Larry popped in there, it made me think of something I haven't thought of.
Sure.
And I literally know nothing about it.
Right.
But if we got that many constables, hell, if we got half that many constables, is there not a way to use them better?
That can be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
I understand because
Sure.
they're elected, they're doing their own thing.
Sure.
I think now they do have some schooling requirements once they're elected or something, maybe.
They have in-services,
In-
yes. But
that
I would be
type
willing
thing.
to do it on a case-by-case basis because why'd you get into this?
You know, if there are people that's really getting in this for the right reason.
For the right reasons, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody that's running for constable. Don't take it that way. But, new hires, when I'm sheriff, why are you getting into this? Fill them out. Do you want to protect and serve? It's cliche. Do you want to make a positive impact in your community, or do you want a badge and gun and make you feel with a puffed up chest to have authority over your fellow man or woman? Don't jump on me.
Well, let's see. I can't even tell you where my badge is anymore. I don't think it's even in, I think I probably lost it in one of the moves. No, I gotta go. I try to keep it hid. I gotta go.
This day and time, you better.
I got a
Yep.
whole damn store full of guns.
Absolutely. I've been looking at several of them tonight.
But,
We got
no,
a
because I
couple.
mean, sometimes you can get the right people in there as constables. I know some guys that have served as constables that have done a really good job
Sure.
back over
Absolutely.
the years.
Yes.
But with the constables, and again, look, I get an idea going through my head, and I just have to spit things out. So don't feel like you really even have to. I don't want him to feel like he has to comment to this. This is just. Would there not be a way to utilize them as like a reserve force?
That could be looked at also.
There's basketball games, football games. There's 100 different places. They're going to the sheriff's department or the city and asking for somebody to be there.
Sure. And there would just have to be some kind of vetting process on who.
Well, yeah.
Sure.
But, you would think that would happen with the before they get in the constable school. You would think it would happen before they get their gun.
Well, if the people elect them, they're elected.
Granted.
Sure.
And I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. It
Sure.
would be, because, I'm just throwing really rough.
Sure. And there's some confusion there. I've been patrol captain for the better part of 9 years. And there's been some elections where new constables come down there to me asking to be issued radios. Y'all don't work for our department. You're duly elected by the citizens of Gibson County. They've come wanting a letter on our stationary letterhead so they can get emergency tag. Y'all don't work for us. I can't do that. If your certificate of election to your position can't get you that, there's nothing I can do. So there's some confusion there on new constables
and
coming
sometimes I think that's county to county, because I know there's a few counties that do offer.
Larry said a lot have prior law enforcement training, and they do 40 hours in service
They do.
and must qualify with a firearm.
Yes, they do. I know for a fact they
And I
do.
think that's what Cody's getting at, is you get these guys that are prior law enforcement, they've got their stuff coming in. Now we sit down and have an entirely different conversation.
Sure.
Because we're vetting the
Right.
person. It's like my friend that was here today, I think he gave up his constable position. He's working for PD now.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was constable, I think then when he gave him a radio. But he had through the proper vetting procedure.
Sure.
And they used him a lot because they knew he'd show up.
That's very important.
And it didn't matter if they just needed him to stand out in the rain and direct traffic at a bad accident. They knew they could hit him up, and
I didn't know where that was going. He said, stand out in traffic. I was like, oh man, I hope it was for a purpose.
no, stand out in the rain and traffic.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
That kind of.
Absolutely.
They could call him.
Sure.
Even I think the troopers would even call him on his cell phone.
Sure. Because they knew
They knew
he'd
he
show
would.
up, wouldn't go overboard, do a good job, do what was asked.
And
of
those
him.
are the kind of people we need as constables, and they're the kind of people I would think our sheriff's department needs to incorporate, or at least ally
Sure.
with, for both to make the most use of their time and
Right.
their effort.
I'd
Now,
be open to it through a vetting process, but like I said, I'm not going to sit here trying to earn. It may not be 32. I'm not going to sit here and promise the moon trying to get 32 votes and their spouses and family. I can't do it, y'all. That's not in me to do stuff like that.
But I think in answering this question, you're willing to look at it. You're willing to look at something and see if it would.
Sure.
A way to make
If
it
it
work.
works, if it makes sense.
You're not going to dismiss it out of hand.
No, I'm not going to be a sheriff. This is the way it's going to be done. I don't want to hear anything else about it. You can learn from anybody. I've learned stuff from slick sleeve deputies that they thought about it in a way I never did. Hey, that makes sense. Don't ever discount somebody.
And and I think there's a lot of guys. There's some guys that run for constable, but that terrify me when I see them with a gun on. I'll just have to say it. It's a fact.
Over the years, I've seen that.
And there's some that are really there with the desire to do something good for people.
Absolutely.
And when we separate the wheat from the chaff,
100%.
there's no use throwing away good wheat.
I like how you put that.
Get anything?
Larry's saying a constable can get their emergency plates.
Yeah, with their
Said
certificate of
Sheriff
election.
Thomas did authorize constables to be able to use county radio frequency.
Yes, using the frequency, yes.
Kimberly Campbell Hipp said state of Tennessee has 9 constables listed for Gibson County.
No, that's a very low, that goes back to reporting, which I don't send the list of constables in to the state. That's, I would dare say.
That is incorrect, huh?
That is incorrect.
See, 9 sounds more in par. Like, I thought Weakley County, we had like 2 growing up.
And I may be shooting high at 32, but that 9, no, that's low.
Because I ain't gonna lie, one time I thought about running for constable. Because I don't want to do reserves. I don't want to go out and arrest people. I don't want to, but I could go stand up, be at ball games. I could go do stuff.
He can't help it.
It's live.
It's live. I can't do nothing
Yo.
about it.
No
I
delay,
need
folks. Y'all heard what you heard.
At least there's no F-bombs dropping this time.
Unless you just jinxed it, didn't you?
I
He's usually pretty
control
good
those
about that.
pretty well. No, I wouldn't mind doing something where I'm helping with things
Sure.
and giving. You know, if I'm over here directing traffic or I'm over here watching after a football team, I may let a real deputy be out there patrolling.
It could free up other staff, yes, sir. In that situation.
That would be my only thought when I thought about running for it is, you can be doing something that may be important-ish,
Sure.
but you can free up other people that need to be doing other things.
Sure.
That may be life or death for
Right.
somebody.
Free them up for other stuff.
And I think there's some of the people that do constable, that run for constable, I think that way.
Sure.
And then there's
I'm not closed to
And
any
there's
of
some, I
that.
think, that run for constable because they want to be the police. They can't, and this way they can play police.
That is true. They won't. And
That is true.
I'm not saying all, Mr. Larry. I'm not saying all. I'm not saying you. There's some that want to be because badge and gun, but they ain't got to go to Toledo or another accredited
Right.
route to be post certified.
But I think we got
I'm
that
not
many out there.
singling anybody out on that, guy.
You just
But
have to
we're
be.
talking-
But we've both seen that over the years.
We have, and
100%.
I know Larry.
Joe Blow out there has seen that. Like, man,
I know Larry, and he would sit here and agree with us.
sure. He don't want constables to make him look bad because he is a
No,
constable.
because he's got some pride in what he is
Sure.
and what he does. So,
Absolutely.
he would be one of those that I think would probably fall into wheat.
Yes, sir.
And he's not going to want the shaft bringing him down.
No. Just like good deputies, police officers, law enforcement officers as a whole despise bad law enforcement officers because it brings that negative perception on all of us.
Mm-hmm. So, we talked about that. Real quick question. What's your feelings about true constitutional carry? And let me define that for you.
All right.
Okay, I want to ask you a question so you know completely what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
The right of the people shall not be infringed.
Infringed.
Period.
Mm-hmm. That says what it says, and that should be how it is. And in the future, as sheriff, if there's bills that go up to get the state of Tennessee more in line or completely in line with that, I would be all for it. I would be a sponsor of that. Now, even if it went to the point I was against the masses and the Sheriff's Association, so be it. My obligation is to the citizens of Gibson County to keep them safe and not prohibit them from their duly right to keep themselves safe.
Because we both know, and we're going to try to bring this in.
Sure.
Have
He's
we-
got
are
a
we keep-
cool gun to show y'all.
Are we
We're
keeping
gonna-
a steady number?
By the way, Larry said he agrees with Cody. Some don't need the job.
Sure.
That's
and
what I said. If
he
Larry
and I
was sit-
both knew Larry would.
If
agree
Larry's
with
sitting
that.
here with us, he'd be agreeing.
Yeah.
Sure.
The I just lost my thought.
Quick thing, we talked about it earlier. You know, I didn't even realize this was a thing, but there's a bill currently up that if passed would prohibit landlords from prohibiting people from exercising their Second Amendment right of having a firearm on the rental property or even in the vehicle that's parked on the rental property. Sure, I'll rent to you, but hey, hope for the best. You can't defend yourself here with a firearm. You know, I believe I'd have to seek shelter elsewhere.
Most definitely.
One of the bills, one of the things we're going to be trying to change, and I say we, I'm a very avid member of TFA and GLA, life member of both organizations.
And that's not ish, that's legit.
Oh yes.
You know, the one of the things we're really going to be trying to change here in Tennessee is, and I'm sure you're aware of it, in Tennessee you have no right to self-defense.
The way it's written, yes.
It's a statute. It's a statute,
Mhm.
and it gives the DA way too much discretion.
Sure. Absolutely.
Um,
And self-defense is the basic primal instinct we're all born with.
Yep.
you know,
Bar none.
wait a minute. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So, I have an inalienable right granted by God to my life because He gave it to me.
Absolutely.
That means I have a right to defend it,
100%.
regardless of what Tennessee General Assembly says. So that's going to be something that we push for really hard, is that right to self-defense and a change in the law. I understand something. None of us want to shoot. Nobody wants to shoot anybody over a lawnmower.
Right.
Okay,
No rational person would. Yes.
that's. But right now, this is a real situation that happened during the floods up east.
Mm-hmm. East Tennessee,
East
and
Tennessee
the
and
Carolinas.
the Carolinas.
Uh-huh.
Generator running that was supplying oxygen.
That person needed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was trying to steal the generator and got shot. Tennessee law says you're supposed to prosecute the one that did the shooting because you can't shoot to defend property. Now, was he defending property or was he defending life?
Both, but at the top of that list, he was thinking about his life, just like you and I would have been.
Or the life, it was actually life of a third person
Defense of a third
that was in his home,
yes.
a member of his family.
Absolutely, that he did not want to see die due to a thief stealing the generator.
So
Now,
what takes precedence?
Kind of changed the old adage, I'd rather be tried by 12 than to see my family member carried by 6 in that situation. And you would hope a rational jury would articulate the situation and the way the law's written or not written right now would find you not guilty.
But now he wasn't prosecuted.
Did they present it? I'm not familiar with the exact case. Did they present it to a grand jury or anything, or do
I
you
think
know?
that if I remember right, and I'm doing this off memory,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they had DA with some common sense,
Common sense prevailed.
oh my.
and they're like, no.
I'm sorry, Meemaw needs her oxygen.
You
You
know,
know,
they really
that's
did
more
justifiably
important.
shoot,
Sure.
and said that the threat to life.
That took precedence, and that's obviously what was going on, not just the theft of the generator.
Right.
But look at how easily that could have went a different way.
100%. Absolutely.
Think on another jurisdiction that could go a different way,
Absolutely. That person could have spent the rest of their life in jail.
or lost everything they had trying to defend themselves from.
From the prosecution, 100%. Hey, you might have could have got it vindicated, but could have cost you everything you had and mortgaged past that.
Yeah. Why are good, honest, hardworking people in that position? We've got a supermajority of Tennessee Republicans for 17 years.
Sure. We've got a majority in the House and Senate.
We have the supermajority, House, Senate, governor's office
mansion.
for 16 to 17 years, and we can't change that.
And we're still having trouble passing common sense changes and bills through.
Oh, they'll be out there shooting people for stealing their gas can. Hey, quit sounding like a damn right Democrat.
You can tell we're winding up, can't you, Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
But when that, I just didn't know that we got a sheriff that would support that kind of, and that's just common sense. I don't think anybody was going to shoot anybody for stealing
Sure.
their damn lawnmower.
Sure.
But if somebody's beating on my door, beating on my windows, banging on my house, tearing my vehicle up, as the law's written right now, if I pick up a stick, if I pick up a gun or whatever and walk outside, now I have committed brandishing.
Haven't used it, but you brandished.
So now, in a lot of cases, I've hit a charge level higher than
Hit
the
a
person,
threshold. Yes. That is
That's-
committing the theft or attempting to
or
commit
the vandalism, or the destruction, or
arson. Yes.
yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, if you're on your own property or out in public, you've got a right to carry a firearm. Hey, it may just be on your side. You walk up. Hey, maybe if I show them I've got a firearm, maybe that will end this now. Now you're not saying, hey, I'm going to shoot you and start shooting, but hey, oftentimes, man,
But can
they're armed. I'm
here's
fixing
the
to go
problem.
somewhere else or stop.
Is that brandishing?
On their side or out in their hand.
Well, if you're in public, we'll say it's
Sure.
just riding in your holster.
I would say it's not brandishing. Someone with a law degree and certain positions don't know what they're going to say.
If you're at the house and you hear something tearing up Jack out there, you're probably going to pick the gun up and just walk
Sure.
out of the
I
house.
don't-
Just walk out the house holding it.
I was about to say I don't walk around my house with a holster on. Sometimes I am if I run in there real quick. But hey, you're going to grab it and go out because you don't have a holster.
Yeah.
There's no time to put one on and put it in, so you're not mistakenly brandishing in some people's view. But yes, we're not talking about actively shooting people for trying to steal
A
gas
lawnmower.
cans.
No.
We're talking common sense here.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him. That's why we hit it off right out of the gate.
It might not be a man. It might be one of them coyote critters that needs shot.
Sure. Absolutely.
Or one of them hole-digging armadillos.
Yep. By the way, they have the instruments to do that here at whmcguns.
That needs to get shot. Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of
But-
varmint rifles here.
I'm apt to grab a shotgun and walk out the back door.
Sure. What's that? Let me go investigate.
Why? Because my backyard's big, small enough. I need to shoot whatever I want. If it's an armadillo or a coyote or whatever, shotgun do fine.
Sure.
And I ain't got to worry about a bullet getting loose.
That's right.
But anyway, with that said, Cody, I have enjoyed it.
I've
I hope
enjoyed
you
it
have.
myself. Yes, sir. I hope there's some people out there that enjoyed it. It's just he and I talking, very similar to the way we did that first night.
Larry said there's 20 Gibson County constables,
I
just for the
I
information.
apologize for shooting high, but state's showing very low at 9.
So
Thank you for correcting me, Mr. Larry.
now here's what we're gonna have to do, guys. I'm gonna invite Cody to stay with me while we do this cool gun segment.
I was hoping he would.
So we've got to say bye-bye to the YouTube folks live right now. We will be posting this on YouTube. We'll cut this part. We'll edit and and bring it back in the new gun section and post it live, post it back to YouTube. But we'll keep going live with you guys on Facebook.
All right.
And I am going to walk around here
Okay, we're going bye bye here.
and get the super cool
All right.